sure why. There we go. The volume. Oh, there we go. What's going on, everybody? Bobby Fi here. Sheet should be here any minute, but I don't think he's going to be here for too long. So just wanted to jump in and talk about this slate. This is a tough one, and I'm struggling with this slate a little bit. We did get the Knicks, with no Sims. I'm trying to wait for the projections to update a little bit. I actually don't know that it's going to make anybody look great. I'm probably going to go back to Precious again, especially considering that it's a tough matchup with Jokic. So I like the idea of going there. The main thing to cover in the early games that I want to touch on is obviously this Utah situation. Look, they're not all going to go nuts, but it is pretty incredible. This is the healthiest they've been all year. They've been playing good basketball, but the minutes sort of fluctuate, as we've seen with a lot of teams these days. So I don't feel like any of these are locked plays. I said I would cap my Utah exposure at about 4. But I think 3 or 2 would be where I actually would like to end up. Remember, there's still stuff we're not going to know about. Like LeBron could genuinely miss this game again. It's totally possible that LeBron could sit. And I don't know what to do with that without that information, because I'm skeptical of the Denver value. I think that I might end up going ahead and playing a little bit more of the, taking a gamble and maybe throwing Rui and or Vanderbilt into some lineups, or do I want to full commit and go with Reeves, Russell, Rui, something like that, with DeRozan on the other side? That occurred to me as well. So I'm still trying to make that decision, but that's the main ones. I had some good conversations in chat, and I wanted to touch on. One of the things that came up for me, I'm playing Dinwiddie. I understand minutes are very volatile right now with Brooklyn, but I still think that there is plenty of upside there. It's just volatility with the minutes. If you don't want to do that, as Kenny in chat pointed out to me, look, you can play Caruso at 5,100 also in that later game. That's another way of getting exposure that you can always switch off of should things open up. Same thing with Patrick Williams in that same game. To some extent with Ayo Dosunmu in that same game. So maybe getting exposure to that game and hoping things break your way is not a bad strategy, but it certainly is risky, and it's something that I'm flirting with and deciding whether or not I want to do or not. So the guys who I am going to play the most of, though, right now, I'm definitely playing DeRozan. I think playing one of DeRozan, Vooch, or White is always a good idea without Levine, as long as they're under 8K. I like DeRozan the best, but I have no issue if you wanted to use the other ones. I have Sexton as the better play between he and, by a pretty significant amount, between he and Jordan Clarkson. I always play Sexton on the road, Clarkson at home. That's just been my thing. Lauri Markkanen's price is great for the matchup. I have no problem using that one, but I'm more finding myself with Chris Dunn and Sexton for value, and it feels kind of nasty. But just so you guys know, like I've seen a lot of speculation. I've heard a lot of people talk about Chris Dunn. He's not like a great fantasy producer, but they're going to play him minutes in most spots. And he's able to, we say he's not great, but he put up 33 a couple of games ago. The minutes, again, they fluctuate because Clarkson comes in and everything. But I do think he'll get enough minutes because they just want him out there defensively. The Jazz whole team defense is completely different with Chris Dunn on the court than when he's not. They go from being a really bad defensive team to being an adequate one with Chris Dunn. That's how big of a difference he makes. So wanted I probably am going to end up just eating a little bit of the Dunn and Sexton chalk. My other stuff that I like a lot today, I mentioned DeRozan. I also really like Siakam, and I really like Embiid. I understand that it's hard to get to Embiid and all these things. I'm going to try and gamble and just go for it because I think Embiid's ceiling, obviously we know it's 110 or 105, whatever he scored the other day. I just think that even his floor is too high to just ignore him here. So I'm gonna play Embiid, which is why I'm getting up with some of the Dunn. So I'm going with the chalk: Dunn, Sexton, Embiid. Siakam's gonna have some ownership. I'm gonna go there as well. Then you also have I mentioned the DeRozan thing, Dinwiddie. I think Precious. These are guys who I'm going to be sort of filtering in and out of my lineups today. So pop in your questions, pop in your thoughts. I don't know where Sheets is. Usually he at least lets me know if he's not going to be here, so I always get a little nervous. Anyway, sorry about that. This is something from my mom. It looks like everything's okay at least. Kuminga made everything yesterday and had a great game. It's going to happen. You know what I mean? You're going to have nights like that. And by the way, Kuminga's fine tonight too. Like, it's just overall, I don't think that I don't like to be results oriented. I think if you're results oriented too much, you're doing it wrong. So I'm not going to say, oh, Kuminga had a big game, so that means we were bad not to play him. No, that's it. It's fine. He's going to have some games here and there, and he did last night. They're still not giving Draymond the full run, and he's getting a lot of that time, as well as some other time as well with Draymond. So I have no issue with the Kuminga thing in general, for what it's worth. And beating Jokic for Mark. All right, how are you able to do that? I don't particularly like Jokic for Jokic. Look, I think he's going to be able to get there. But if you can get those guys in, hey, I say go for it. Jokic is going to have extremely low ownership. That's going to be a very unusual build. I have no issue with that on principle. Like, Jokic with Murray, obviously, doesn't have quite the same production. He's not nearly what Embiid does lately. But I like the idea. If you're going to get, spend all the way up, why not do that with Jokic and some line? I think it's a good idea, Mark. If you can get the uncomfortable value in there. Tobias and Marcus Morris out. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff we were sort of hoping that some stuff was going to happen. So, I don't know. Yeah, Kelly Oubre, it's a good matchup for him anyway. I think he's going to project really well. So I agree. Oubre is probably the right thing to right off the bat. Patrick Beverley is probably going to look a lot better. So those are the main ones. I'd say Beverley and Oubre would be the two that probably get the biggest boost. I don't think I'm getting to Batum. So Oubre, I've got Oubre. And I don't mind the Batum thing, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Oubre and Beverley. I should say Oubre or Beverley. I don't love, playing other offensive players not named Maxey or Embiid from Philadelphia, but I do think Oubre without Harris certainly has enough upside and a good matchup, a good game pace environment. So I could totally co-sign on the Oubre idea. Beverly is. I'm actually curious. I think they ended up starting Oubre. Probably. They've been starting Oubre. Who are they going to start alongside? That's interesting. I'm curious. Is it going to be Daniel House time? So let's see who Philadelphia starts. We'll know that before lock, and we can adjust accordingly. How do I feel about Naz Reid tonight? Where did that play come from? This would be, of all the games lately, if Mike Conley plays, this would have been the worst spot to use Naz Reid. He can always have a game, but you're just looking for an outlier game if you're playing him. If Conley is out, there's potential at least for more minutes and usage to go around. But I don't think I'm going to get to Naz Reid today. I mentioned him this morning. Did I? If I mentioned Naz Reid, it was probably more of just in case Conley. I was probably referring to yesterday's slate if I mentioned Naz Reid. I don't remember mentioning him. So, but look, if Conley is out again, I think you could take a shot on him. But I think it'd be just a shot. So let's just see what the projections have done with the Knicks, because I am curious what they're going to say about these precious minutes. Now, let me just take a quick look here. God, it's taking a little longer to update than I would like lately. Got Precious now at, okay, so he's at 22 projected fantasy points. Jericho Sims, I'm not playing Jericho Sims. Do not play Jericho Sims. Don't fall for the trap. Everybody thinks Jericho Sims smashed the other night because he had 18 in the first quarter. Jericho Sims, his career as a starter in like 50 starts, I believe he averages 3 points and 2 rebounds. Okay, that makes sense. Good job, John. Yeah, you did take good notes. So it's Conley is the thing, but I don't think it's as important anymore. Precious, Well, no, the thing is, they're never trying to play like that many minutes out of Sims. But also, don't forget, you're facing Jokic tonight. That's not a good matchup for Sims. It's not a great matchup for Precious, but at least Precious is a capable defender who's has athleticism, maybe could at least give a little bit of a fight. So I think Precious is actually a pretty decent play, even though the projections don't love him. I'm probably going to side with that one. All right, what else have we got? So Precious, DeRozan. This pen is not even writing. God, I'm just having one of those days. Precious, DeRozan. And all right, I still like Siakam. One of Oubre or Beverly. And then Embiid as my main spend up. And that's sort of my core right there. So this is John's asking, Mark's asking a good question, but this is going to be the same question for every single member of the Chaz. It's just going to fluctuate. I don't know. I don't think they have an answer for how good of a play John Collins is. I think it's definitely worth getting some exposure. He played really well in the last game, still only played 24 minutes. His minutes have been in the low 20s. I think it's okay. I think that right now, I think you're probably going to see guys like Oubre maybe look a little bit better, but I'm definitely okay with, like, John Collins is obviously a good play. He's going to be extremely popular. But I think he's fine. Like, I don't have a really strong take because you have, 8 Utah guys projecting well when they're the healthiest they've been because they've got a good matchup, and we don't have that much other value. Although a little bit opened up possibly with the Philadelphia situation. We just need to get some updated on the projections. Jolly's asking everyone playing Embiid. So I've been saying this every day. If I expect the game to be close, I'm going to play Embiid. I'm going to play Luka in those spots. Those guys especially more than anybody. It's to some extent Giannis, with the coach getting fired, was a mishap on my part not playing him yesterday. That is what, you get the coach fired and you start to see this new burst of energy. I think Giannis had a big triple-double and he had 80 fantasy points. But yeah, anyway. The Wizards with a new coach, that's interesting, by the way. So I actually like that you're mentioning that Jolly, because that's the if you're going to play 4 Utah guys, or in some cases people are talking about 5, I do think getting a run back makes some sense. And because you have the coaching situation, maybe you could talk yourself into that Kuzma could get more minutes. Maybe you could talk yourself into Abdia getting more minutes. I think those guys are probably the most interesting, but nobody who projects really well on the other side. So Kuzma would be your best projected guy. But I personally like the 70. I like DeRozan. I like Siakam and DeRozan at a little bit of a cheaper price instead. Vucevic is popping. Yeah, Vucevic is one of those other ones. It's Vuce, DeRozan, and White. I think you're really picking one of those guys. For me, it's going to be DeRozan. I'm totally cool with the Vuce idea, and I'm totally cool with White. But I have DeRozan as my main bull tonight against the Lakers. DDR coming back into LA. We'll see how it goes. All right, let's see what else. Cam, I don't just want to say Sims could get in foul trouble. Sims is in the same spot he's been in for the past 500 years. He happened to score 22 fantasy points the other night. I want to make it really clear that was not a good play. I don't care who you are. Like, unless we start to see a trend really change, he is so, and it was because he had 4 blocks in the first 2 minutes. You take away those first 2 minutes, the guy literally had like 4 fantasy points in his next 20 minutes. So I'm not going to do the Sims thing. I absolutely am going to do the Precious thing. That's where I'm at. I like it, Cam. All right, so it looks like we have no sheets, and I'm gonna keep going. You know me. You guys know me by now. I hate doing the solo stuff, so I love the back and forth. Please keep popping in questions, thoughts. Hit the like button. We always appreciate that, so we can keep doing these videos for free. I'll be in Discord letting everybody know what my lineups look like before, sort of the way I'm trending before things actually lock. But I don't have a whole lot more to add of what I'm doing. I do think that I'm going to take a quick look at the projections, and I think that on Philadelphia, you're going to see the Oubre projection go up, and I think you're going to see the Beverly projection go up. But I don't think either of them are must plays by any means. They're just going to be decent plays, in my opinion. And maybe enough so I can get off. Maybe Kenny in chat was right earlier. Maybe this way I can get off of my Dinwiddie. I don't want to say love. It's just my Dinwiddie play, I guess. So yeah, Precious, one of Oubre or Beverly, DeRozan, Siakam, Embiid. I think that's sort of like a natural core that I'm sort of leaning towards, along with the Sexton and potentially Dunn from Utah. Those are sort of the main ones. Gafford or Bagley, neither. I don't really know why either of those would be. I actually don't even know why they're projected quite as well as they are. It just, they totally cut into each other's time. They're not super cheap. Is it going to be the Gafford 30-minute game? Is it going to be Bagley? More likely it's going to be like split between them. So Bagley's always okay for tournaments because he can do a lot of stuff. But I personally, I'm not touching either of those guys. Yeah. Anyway. All right, guys. Let me know if you have any other thoughts or questions. Otherwise, I'm going to probably get out of here pretty shortly. And still trying to get back on track after last night. It always sucks to, that $1 million tournament. I got all excited, and then I really couldn't get there last night, and it was really irritating to I irritated myself because I did not love the way I ended up building, even though I was okay with the process going into it. I just felt like I kind of rattled a little bit and played a few things that I shouldn't have. So anyway, all right, guys, good luck to everybody today. We appreciate all the support. Jolly, that's fair enough. You could take the Bagley shot. I do think it just should be looked at as just a shot, though. Like, I don't want to see anybody complaining if Bagley plays like 12 minutes. But also, like, if you really believe Bagley's going to trend upwards, don't you think they would just then go ahead and start Bagley? Like, I don't know. That's me. So Sabonis projects really well. I'm going to refer Sabonis is a good play. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not playing Sabonis over him. I mean, Embiid 1,600 more, and I'm going to play Embiid more than I am Sabonis. But Sabonis projects really well. I do want to point out that in that series last year, it was De'Aaron Fox, not Sabonis, who dominated. And Sabonis was really, for most of that series, held in check. And against Golden State this season, I believe Sabonis in 2 games, in 3 games, I think he's averaging 44 fantasy points. So I am not playing Sabonis. I have no issue with it, but I am not doing it myself. I personally, if I was going to play either of he or Fox, I would just gamble on the Fox thing, even though Fox has been pretty dreadful lately, fantasy-wise. Okay. I have a bunch of Højgaard. Jimmy, let me tell you, it's still not that fun. I'm really annoyed by the golf. Everybody just missing the cut on the number. Assuming the cut's going to be at 3. Actually, I might have a few more guys make it now. It's possible, but I just couldn't get the right mix. Going to have a ton of 5 of 6s and just going to miss the 6 of 6s. I think I'm going to have 1 or 2. So a little frustrated for golf as well. All right, Drew Holiday. Everybody is on this. I don't understand this Drew Holiday play. So worst matchup in basketball for him. He's fine. He's 6,100. You're playing him just because of his price, but it's not like what are you hoping for? You know what I mean? There's nothing that says like this is going to be the Drew Holiday game. This is full strength Celtics. The minutes are there. That's nice. He probably gets there or close to it. But I'm not going out of my way to play Holiday because he's 6,100 instead of 6,400. I just don't think there's any big difference in that. And I think if he was 6,500, people wouldn't be talking about him. Instead, he's going to get a little ownership because he's 6,100. I prefer Malik Monk, but certainly no issue with the Holiday thing. I don't get it. I don't understand why everybody's so into this all of a sudden just because he happens to be 6,100 in a terrible matchup. Okay, go ahead and play him if you want to. I'm not going to play him. I don't think Jokic is anywhere near Embiid tonight. Look, he's going to have some days where this is wrong, but I've been sort of beating this drum all year long, and Embiid is basically just massacred him in fantasy points overall. But if you can do what Mark did and play both of them together, I'm on board with that. I personally think that I can't give a terrible matchup, or not terrible matchup. The matchup for Jokic is not good. The Knicks slow the pace down. They actually do a good job on the inside, even though their 2 centers are gone, obviously, with being Hartenstein and let me just double check something really quick. I thought I saw a starting lineup with Hartenstein and obviously Hartenstein and Robinson. But yeah, I'm not overly excited about, I don't think that it's this game doesn't make me feel like, oh, I need to play Jokic. But I do like the idea of getting some. I just wouldn't play him over Embiid. I would rather play them together if you're going to play them. Willie Z did not. Sharks did not deserve this. I actually I thought at one point he was going to trend to be too popular, so I was going to fade him. And let me just see where he ended up. Actually, I haven't seen what he did lately. I know he was 1 under last. I saw Zalatoris still has a 30% chance to make the cut, by the way. So I wouldn't write that one off quite yet, Cam. He's looking at 30%, 28%. Data Golf has him at to make the cut. So maybe a little too early to just say it was a bad one, because we'll see. He could birdie 2 of the next 3 holes. The cut line could go B3 and boom, he's in. He's totally possible. All right, what else do we have in here? He's popped a little. Seems like things are drying up a little bit. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna go get into the rest of my builds, and I will update you all in the Discord. Thanks very much, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, everybody.